A flying eagle or a dragon would see southern Aldla as a rugged part of the world with mountains and forests. While the rivers might not be raging, they are definitely annoyed. Our viewpoint floats down to where we can see 3 people walking along a road. As we drift closer, the people become a young human man, a young halfling woman, and what looks like a walking Christmas tree. The tree is actually a dwarf wizard named Peet, who is leading the group. He is not the main character in our story. The human male is an alchemist named Eldin, but he is not our main interest either. Our story is about Yixee, the female halfling. She has some magic-related skills and is learning more from Peet. Peet is an accomplished wizard who is teaching Yixee. Yixee does mundane work for Peet in exchange.
Hello, and welcome. This is our newest world building video. So we are Wild Art Fly Free and we are building a fantasy world. We were sort of hoping that you might help us. We are building our world out of stories, and our stories are made from things like plots and scenes and locations and characters. It can be fun if you don't take it too seriously. Also, everything that we create is public domain, so anyone can use it. No worries. So, if you have half an hour, why don't you sit back and see what we are about? Also, please know that we are always interested in your ideas, so if you have any ideas to share, please feel free. Thank you.
Okay. We are still working on the start of Yixee's travel story, but it starts in a port city named Gurlad. We don't know much more about Gurlad, except that it might have something to do with the words, royalty, island, and small. Now we will move forward in Yixee's journey with Peet and Eldin to where she is starting to feel the effects of peaks. The group is now 10 days' walk, north of Gurlad. They have been on a road with no adventures worth mentioning. Just normal travel that they are all used to and prepared for. Yixee won't know why, but she feels restless. She still agrees with Peet's leadership and the quest that they are on, but she also now wants to explore their current location. She is especially curious about any magical places that they could visit. Also, since they are on a well-traveled and safe road, Yixee convinces Peet that they could do at least part of each day's walk at night and feel the moonlight. While none of the group have any way to collect moonlight magic directly, nighttime still offers some interest to magic peoples. Next time we check in with Yixee will be somewhere near the community of Abood. Abood has something to do with the words, want, puppy and disguise. At this point, Peet and Eldin are starting to be annoyed and a little concerned with Yixee's requests to go exploring. She assures them that she feels fine. She is very persuasive, so they go along with her suggestions as much as they can. By the time the group reaches Vic, they are close enough to Swanford to feel confident in reaching it. Yixee has gone quiet though. While she should be as grateful as Peet and Eldin, she seems to be very conflicted within herself. Our story soon takes a turn, as Yixee rationalizes her plan to go off by herself. She assures Peet and Eldin that she will catch up, and she then goes into a cave system. This is the part of the story where Yixee will bottom out and need to deal with her inner demons. Yixee's inner demons turn out to be a magical creature named Peeks. The next time I tell the story I will try coming from Peeks' viewpoint.
So we've got Yixee and traveling as part of the wizard Peet's group. So Peet has two workers, Yixee, who is learning magic, and Eldin, who is a young alchemist, just starting out, but not learning from Peet. Peet is not an alchemist. Eldin is quite good, so Yixee's learning from Peet, and Eldin is trying to prove his worth. And so Peet, Eldin, and our hero Yixee have landed in the port city of Gurlad, which is on the southern end of the continent of Aldla. And so Yixee and the group have come from a different continent. We'll worry about that a different time. So they've come to the continent of Aldla on a quest. So they are on a quest that Peet wants to deal with. I think he's got something like 20 days or something to get north enough. No, longer than that. I forget right now, but we talked about it earlier. He's got some weeks to get across the continent and get to our city of Swanford before a certain time. And they start at Gurlad. And so just for fun, we're going to see what kind of people they meet in the port city of Gurlad. And we will roll dice. Roll a 6d6 mostly. A six-sided dice. Six-sided die. And so it'd be a common race, so we'll roll first. And yes, a common race, which I have 6 of. Human, halfling, gnome, elf, dwarf. Sorry, let's get that sorted out. If we get a number 1, it'll be an uncommon race, which would be a goblin, troll, giant. So if we get a 1, we'll roll again and see if it's a goblin, troll, giant. Otherwise, it'll be a halfling, a human, a gnome, an elf, or a dwarf. Alright, so we roll for that, and this is, our first person is a halfling. And alright, so we'll roll again, female or male. And this is a female. Let's check out a random name generator from the internet. For halflings, we usually just go with a single name, not 2 names here. I don't know if this will be the equivalent to a first name or last name, but our female halfling has the name of Fog Dancer. So that's, yeah, an interesting, possibly cute, possibly pretty name. Alright, let's roll for age. And this is a child. Alright. So we have a child, female halfling called Fog Dancer here in Gurlad. A little girl halfling. Now let's roll and go to the random word generator find a random word generator on the internet, and we want 6 random words, 6 random common words. Okay. So the words that came up were cool, advice, night, long term, peep, and lake. Well, peep is a cute little sound, kind of maybe appropriate for a child female halfling. And does she get some cool advice? Well, you remember that the theme for this story is about manipulation. So a cute little child gnome female who makes a peeping sound would be very cute, and cuteness is one very effective way of manipulating people. So maybe we can play with that, and maybe our people in our story can think about that. Cool, advice, night, long term, peep, and lake. So what can you think of that go with those words? We'll think about that some more as we move along to our next character. We wanted to build 3 characters randomly. So rolling the dice. And okay, we have another halfling. Coincidences do happen. And if we want truly random, then we accept some coincidences. So we've got 2. We've got a little girl halfling. Now this halfling, let's roll the dice some more. Okay, this time it's a male. And a middle-aged male, so not too many coincidences. And okay, so we've got a child female gnome and a middle-aged male gnome. Maybe a dad or a grandpa. Let's find them a name. Silver Moon. Well, that's a pretty cool name. And maybe appropriate for a middle-aged halfling, male. All right, let's see if we can find some random words for Silver Moon, our new middle-aged man halfling. All right, we've got tired, name, legal, be, burly, and use. And just for fun, we're brainstorming. We've got a burly guy, or halfling's burly. Yeah, why not? For a halfling, burly. He doesn't like to use his legal name. You see what I did there? He's tired of people's reactions to using his legal name, so he took on the name of Silver Moon. And what else? Maybe just a tired old burly guy. Busy as a bee before he gets tired. Maybe he has legal troubles. What else might be true about Silver Moon? Okay, just thinking, we've got 7 moons, 1 blue, 2 green, 4 red moons. We don't have a silver moon. That's rather otherworldly, or is that possibly the color from moonlight of certain mixtures of moonlight? Anyway, he's called Silver Moon. Does he have anything to do with Fog Dancer, our little girl? Of course, we're writing a story, so yes, obviously, Silver Moon and Fog Dancer, both halflings, and she's a little girl, so probably could use some adult supervision. Of course, they have some sort of relationship. As we said, maybe a dad or a grandpa. What else could it be? All right, so we think about those guys. And one more person while we're in Gurlad. It's roll again. Okay, not a halfling. This is a gnome. So another small person. Male. Okay, adolescent. And what is a name for a gnome? Golden mane. Okay, so long blonde hair. Golden mane for an adolescent male gnome with nice hair, or at least the name that suggests it could be nice hair. He doesn't have to have hair that way. Maybe he has black hair. Maybe keeps it short just because of, well, fighting about that name all the time. Okay. 6 words for our adolescent male gnome that may or may not have blonde hair. 6 words. Very, office, uniform, foul, bear, material. Okay, we've got fowl, which is like birds. And we've got bear, like a big guy that might like to eat fowls. So maybe this guy has something to do with animals. Maybe he's got a little menagerie. Maybe he keeps pets. All right, what about very, office, inform, and material? Something official about it. Something governmental about it. Maybe he's having trouble with the government. Maybe he works for the government, but why is he associating with animals? It'd be more fun maybe if he's having issues with the government. Maybe that's something that our halflings, what's their names? Silver Moon and Fog Dancer. Yeah, maybe they can help. Golden Mane, maybe they can form a group, and maybe they're working together with a gnome and 2 halflings with some animals and maybe some various government troubles. Or what do you think? Let your ideas go wild. You don't have to write a complete story about these guys if you want. Just throw out some ideas, but complete story ideas are good too. Make it as complete as you want. And then when our heroes come in, Yixee, Peet, and Eldin, we are getting to learn better, what's that going to be like? Remember, this is about manipulation, and we were thinking, starting out, that Yixee will not be good with manipulating people. She would not be good, trying to get agreements or getting good deals or whatever with people, so that when Peeks comes along later and helps her, there will be a noticeable contrast. So at the beginning, Yixee comes along with these people, has trouble, whether helping them or, maybe they take advantage of Yixee. Maybe they're, playing some scam games or something, and Yixee falls for it. What do you think? Well, it'll make a good story start for us, and a beginning character arc for these new guys, and will help along with Yixee's story. Yeah, write it all down in the comments. We're looking forward to it.
We have some details to work out that might affect the bigger picture. Of course, usually the big picture affects the details, but at this rough stage in a story, maybe. So, anyway, why would someone like Pete want to bring his young associates halfway across a continent? What does Swampford offer that is worth that much trouble? Is Pete and his group running away from something? Then it wouldn't be about Swampford. Could it be part running away and part having somewhere to run to? We should learn what we can about Yixee and Eldin and Peet before we make too many decisions about why they do what they do. So, let's start with Pete. We know that he is a dwarf wizard who dresses like a Christmas tree. He is also the boss of both Eldin and Yixee. Pete is clearly a person who isn't afraid to go adventuring. This is partly explained by his backstory. Pete is naturally drawn to magic, but his dwarf mining community weren't very interested in magical dwarfs. Of course, wizards and witches were good customers, and dwarven miners all know the value of a magic gemstone. So, anyway, Pete's people were curious and interested, and some were even a little proud of having a magical dwarf, but they really didn't know what to do for Pete. It was generally decided that Pete would need to leave the mining community and find out how to be a wizard from whatever people were inclined toward magic. So they talked to what magical people they normally dealt with and then sent Pete on his way to learn to be a wizard. Pete had no choice but learn to be independent as well as tolerant of different cultures. He also learned to focus on the magic and ignore social distractions, since they rarely offered him anything useful. So, now, for a dwarf, Pete is still a young adult. In human terms, he would be approximately 30 years old. He is good at being a wizard, and being a wizard is just about all that concerns Pete. While Pete is independent, he is also friendly and helpful and does like adventuring with Yixee and Eldin. So, now, Pete is focused on getting to Swampford to get on with whatever his current quest is about. Okay. Let's talk about Eldin. He is a young adult alchemist. In human terms, he would be about 20 years old. Okay, Eldin is a human and is about 20 years old. By the way, Yixee is a halfling and a little bit older, in both actual age and life experience. Anywho, back to Eldin. Our alchemist is as young as you would expect that a working alchemist could be, but Eldin is exceptionally talented. Eldin also has a backstory. His experience with alchemy started early, because Eldin's family ran an alchemy business. Eldin helped work at the plant as soon as he could measure and pour. Then he was sent to alchemy school as soon as he was old enough for the school to accept him. We won't get into it now, but Eldin left the school before he graduated and has been learning to be an alchemist on his own ever since. Eldin is very driven and focused, even compared to Pete, and Pete feels both an affinity and some sympathy toward the young alchemist. Okay. Now our trio of adventurers are trekking across the continent of Aldla. While everything starts out fine, it isn't long before we start to sense problems within our group. The halfling magic students start behaving strangely. She is becoming pushy and even bossy, but she is very good at it. Pete and Eldin try to go along with her suggestions, but there are limits. And so the story goes on. Or, at least, we continue to build the story. We will talk more about Pete and Eldin, and of course, Yixee as we go along. In the meantime, this is your chance to contribute, and that is what we are really all about here at Wild Art Fly Free. Does this all sound okay so far? Are there any twists or curves that would help make our story? Leave offer some words in the comment place below the video, and thank you for listening.